right, so on to a very special little trip. It's only about 350 miles round trip, but I'm headed up to Chicago because I heard about a dog that needed a home, and after a lot of discussion and consideration, we've decided to go ahead and get this dog. So it is currently 5:30, and it is 172 miles to get up to where we're going to meet, which is the south side of Chicago. Let's take a look at what the trip looks like. All right, so we are charged to 89%. It wants us to stop in Lafayette, but we would arrive there at 54%. So what we're actually going to do, because I'm so charged up, well, I'm glad I'm looking because it's saying temporary closure at the one I was planning to hit. So, yeah, I guess we will have to stop in Lafayette. I will keep an eye on that just in case that opens back up. But always a good idea to take a look. Looks like a couple of destination chargers. Actually, this is a pretty cool place. They have it's a dairy farm, so they've got milk and ice cream and cheese. It's pretty cool. But those are destination chargers. That's not what we're looking for. So we'll hit Lafayette for, what did it say, 5 minutes, 15 minutes, and then we'll make it into our destination, which is a supercharger here in Tinley Park in Chicago. So that's what we're gonna do. Now, the thing is, it is supposed to snow tonight, so we've actually got some weather coming in. It's gonna be super, super cold, bitter cold. I have no doubts about staying warm in the car, but it's going to be interesting. We just did a range test in the cold. It was about 20, I think it was 14 degrees when we left, and it was, mid to high 20s when we got back. So on this trip, it is currently 25 degrees, and it's supposed to get down to like 11 degrees. It's going to be super cold, but really it's the snow I'm worried about. So we will see how the car does in the snow. Hopefully we get some good opportunities to really test it out in inclement weather like that. So for now, 89% should arrive at Lafayette at 54%, and I'm going to go ahead and get moving. Okay, so we made it to Lafayette. We're only going to be here for just a short bit to top off. It is freezing cold, and I did not precondition the battery before we took off, which is a rookie mistake. Let's take a look, and you'll see exactly why. All right, we arrived at 43%, 393 watt-hour per mile, and I was doing 75. It's the worst I have ever gotten on a stretch. 74.3 miles. We're supposed to be here for 20 minutes, so we're gonna go ahead and get plugged in and let it juice up. All right, so here's the deal. Here's why you wanna precondition and why you wanna be prepared in the winter, because we are topped out at 61 kilowatt hour because it is 19 degrees. It is freezing. So we're gonna be here for a little bit longer than it anticipates. And I'm hoping, it was preconditioning the battery for 41 miles. Actually, I think it was like 47 miles, so pretty crazy. So we're gonna let this charge. So we've got quite a bit left to go. I'm gonna let this continue to charge. Let's see. It says if we left right now, we'd get there at 5%. Now here's the deal. Let's take a look. So looking at the radar right now, right here, that's where I'm at. It is not snowing at the moment, but it is gonna start snowing at any time. So the problem is it's going to be snowing, which means the roads are gonna be wet. I don't know if it's accumulating really well on the roads. It's 19 degrees, so I'm sure it's trying to stick. Hopefully it's salted pretty well. So I've got to drive through all this and then straight over to Tinley Park. So we're going to be stuck in snow for this. So we do not want to undercharge. If this was any other road trip, I would leave right now. I think we had 5% to go, but not this time. I'm going to give myself plenty of extra juice just in case the consumption's really bad. And when you're stuck in a situation like this, just know that if you're using a lot of consumption and it's telling you the arrival charge is going to continue to be less and less and less, just slow down. So drive a little bit slower, and that'll help reduce your energy consumption. It sounds pretty basic, but that's how you deal with situations like this. So we're gonna let it keep charging and have plenty of juice for this snowstorm. Hopefully it's not terrible. It says 3 to 4 inches though in this area, so we're gonna find out what happens when it starts snowing. And hopefully with a warm battery, our consumption will be a little bit better to help offset some of that. So let's get this thing finished up and get back on the road. All right, we're charged to 75%. It's still not snowing yet, but it says we should get there at 7%. It's really weird. It's been doing this the last couple of trips. It got stuck at 5% at arrival for quite a while. Now it's starting to climb. So we're gonna unplug. 112 miles to go, an hour and 49 minutes. Should be there about 9 Eastern, 8 Central, which is right on time. So 76%, $3.55. Oh my gosh, that was unbelievably sketch. So we are super low, so I just need to get plugged in. Let's take a look really quick. Did that 113.7 miles, 378 watt-hour per mile, 8%. Just need to get plugged in right now. Okay, that was not fun at all. The roads were really bad. If you have induction wheels and you're gonna be driving in cold snow, you have to get new tires. These tires are awful. I think for the most of that stretch in the snow, I was doing 45, sometimes 50 miles an hour. When it first started snowing, there were no issues, but man, as it kept going, that was probably the scariest I've ever been driving a car in the snow ever. These tires are so bad for that kind of, snow. So here's the thing, it's 9 degrees outside. So as they're trying to put down salt, and in many places there was no salt on the road, which was part of the problem. Cars sliding off everywhere. It is too cold for salt to be super effective. So that's kind of an issue. Anyways, I'm gonna let this thing charge up like all the way and hope that the roads are better for the way back home. Once I got up into Chicago, it seemed like they were doing a lot more salting and the roads were more wet than they were ice, which is good. So we should at least have better roads on the way out of Chicago area. And then hopefully the snow ends here pretty soon. It looks like it's not really snowing anymore, at least not bad. So, whew. Induction wheels, those tires are pretty bad. All right, so we're all charged up, actually 100%, which is really good because I think I could actually make it all the way home without charging. However, I'm just gonna keep an eye on it because with the weather and it being so cold, it's 9 degrees right now. So we'll just keep an eye on that and see if we can make it all the way home. Let's take a look. All right, so we've got 170 miles to go. Let's take a look at what the trip looks like. Same thing going back, and it looks like the snow is over. So hopefully the roads are in a much better shape. It says we'll get there at 5%. So this is what we got to keep a close eye on. So we will see. Otherwise, I'm going to stop in Lafayette if I absolutely have to and top off. 100%, $18.09. Very expensive here, so we'll get unplugged and get on the road. And this here is Murphy. Say hi, Murphy. Say hi. He's very nervous. Yeah, he's a very big dog. so I'm back at that first stop on the way up. We're gonna top off because it is super, super cold. It actually warmed up to 10 degrees. It was 4 degrees there for quite a while. Roads are still really, really bad. So we're going really slow. We're taking our time, and it's gonna be a late night. So let's take a look. 113.2 miles, 381 watt-hour per mile. That's at 50 to 60 miles an hour. Just to put that into perspective, it is that bad. So it does not think we need to stop. However, I'm not going to go this route because I don't want to take the chance that those roads are not clear. I'm going to stay on the interstate, which is bad enough, and loop back around. So we're going to top off, maybe charge it up to 50% just to have plenty of extra. Let's get plugged in and get her charged. All right, so we're not quite sure who missed the boat on salt because the roads are so bad. I am getting passed by just about every car on the road. These tires are garbage. And part of that is because they're super worn down because we have a ton of miles. But it is high on my list to get these tires sorted out as soon as possible. So there will be another video, of course, talking about what tires we should be putting on these induction wheels because these tires are terrible for snow. So almost done charging. We will get that finished up and make the last hour that we have left to get home. All right, that should be way more than enough. 54%. It says we'll get there at 18, but again, I'm not going that route. We'll consume quite a bit more because we'll be on the highway going a little bit faster. 55%, $2.43. Gonna unplug now and we will finish this up, get home in about an hour and 15 minutes, it says. So got home super late last night, so I'm picking this back up in the morning when I'm a little bit more refreshed. I think I got home at 2:30 in the morning. Anyways, it was 74.1 miles, 327 watt-hour per mile from that last stretch. So let's take a look at the whole trip. The whole trip, 375.3 miles, 372 watt-hour per mile, which is pretty terrible. But again, given how the conditions were, it was pretty rough. So some really good lessons learned on this trip. Number one, if you have induction wheels, they are not going to work well in conditions like what I just went through last night. I was without a doubt the slowest car on the road, and that added to the uncomfortable feeling of sliding around. When people are blowing by you, it just adds to the safety factor of being in that situation because you are in the way, essentially. So everything was going wrong with these tires. So here's the deal. On acceleration, no doubt could get this thing to go sideways without much issue. I ended up putting it on chill mode to try to help with some of the acceleration, which it did. The other thing that caught me off guard was regen braking was equally sketchy. So feathering the accelerator for regen to help slow the car down was a bit of an art last night. So letting off the accelerator completely, this thing would start to slide. So it was not a good feeling. It was very uncomfortable, but at the same time, watching other just normal run-of-the-mill cars blowing by was all the evidence you needed. These tires are not good for these types of situations. And again, that's if you have the induction wheels. So you have two options. Number one, you can replace these tires on the induction wheels altogether with something at least all-season tire. These are technically a special all-season tire, but they're more geared towards summer driving. They're for performance to some extent. Your other option is to get another set of wheels that have winter tires on them. I've never in my life owned winter tires ever. I've just never had to. I've always been able to get to where I needed to go in these types of conditions. So I think I have a lot of things to figure out in the coming days. Now, my car has a ton of miles, and these tires are at the end of their life anyways. We're closing in on 25,000 miles, which is absolutely crazy. So I've got to replace these tires anyways. So I'm going to look for a really good all-season tire. I've got a couple I've narrowed down to anyways. I will be doing a video on that to explain more detail about why those tires. So keep an eye out for that. Otherwise, again, get another set of wheels and tires just for winter, so that way you don't have this situation at all. The all-wheel drive system and the traction control system in this car is very, very good, but if your tires aren't gripping, it doesn't do much good. When this thing would start to slide, you could really feel the system starting to engage to try to figure out how to get this car straight again. And then a lot of that also just letting off. So that was the scariest drive I've ever done in my life. And I will be fixing that immediately so that this is never an issue again. So anyways, thanks for joining us along for the ride. I hope that this was eye-opening for you as well. I heard comments from people who have Gemini wheels that have no issues whatsoever, according to them, which is no surprise because those are all-season tires on the Gemini wheels. So if you're in a snow climate, you are either going to want to stick with the Gemini wheels, or if you absolutely want the inductions, you need a plan that does not include the standard tires that come on these wheels. So thanks again for joining us. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, of course, give it the thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, as we continue to post content regularly. Videos like this that are hopefully helpful for those of you who are going to be seeing similar situations. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram @BeardedTesla. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll catch you next time.